Okay, quick music disclaimer here. I do not own the rights to this music, which belongs to the rightful owner, who is the intoxicating mind of Dr. Frankenstein. So he made my intro and my outro, and I hope you guys enjoy. Check them out on Spotify and YouTube, and no copyright infringement is intended. Have a good day.
A clear choice of good versus evil, of right versus wrong.
Twisted Tales.
Welcome back to Twisted Tales, folks. Now, hope everybody had a good weekend there. It was too fucking short for my liking, but I got another episode here for you guys. I just wanted to kill a little bit of boredom here. So tonight's tale, we're going to talk about Cody Allen Legebokoff. So this guy was born January 21st, 1990 in Fort St. James, British Columbia, Canada. And as you guessed today, this one's going to be another Canadian episode. So, this guy here, he's one of Canada's youngest convicted serial killers. And a little about this guy. So he was raised in Fort St. James, British Columbia, located on the southeastern shore of Stewart Lake. Now, this place is actually like a former fur trading post back in the day. So it was founded in 1806, and it was incorporated in 1952. So, like, when people talk about places, like, to me, like, it's like, oh, this place is whatever, right? Like, and the way I see it, like, it's from stuff that I know. Like, I know this place, because of the Playfair family. That's where they lived. Now, they were a hockey family from around here. Like, the dad was a coach for, like, Edmonton Oilers and shit. And a few other family members were, like, players on hockey teams and shit. So mainly that's my outlook on it when I hear, like, Fort St. James being mentioned. Like, that's how I know it, right? I'll just try to stay on topic here. Now, our buddy Cody here, he was just an average teen. He was very popular with his friends. He had a carefree lifestyle. You know, shit that we all wish we could go back to, right? Pretty much now it's all just fucking work and taxes. Bullshit. But you gotta fucking keep going. And Cody here was always one to have fun, like playing ice hockey and shit. So, he did have a couple of arrests by police, but like nothing too major. Like, he wasn't flying on the radar or anything like that. Now, he graduated from Fort St. James Secondary School back in 2008. So before he moved up to BC, he briefly lived in Lethbridge, Alberta. And this is a city with a population of 106,550 people, roughly. Could be a little more, could be a little less. But before moving to Fort St. James, he lived in the smaller place here. This was, Fort St. James would have been like 22 kilometers altogether, so like 8.5 square miles. And it had a population of like 21,465 residents. So, going from Lethbridge, a big city, back to like Fort St. James, like, it's just gonna be a little bit of a downgrade, right? After he completed high school and everything, like, he ended up moving into an apartment with a few friends. And he worked as a mechanic at a Ford dealership. And just a little known fact here. People dubbed this kid Country Boy. Now, this was because he had a username that was on an old social media website called Nexopia. So this was like a Canadian social networking website that was made back in 2003. And Cody's name on this was One Country Boy. So this was designed for ages 13 and up. So it had like all the things that Facebook will let you do, like messages, make profiles, blogs, photos, all that shit. Now, it ran out of Edmonton, Alberta, and Toronto, Ontario. This was before it was permanently shut down, without warning, actually, in November 6th, 2023. So this was mostly because of, like, parents had criticized the fuck out of this website, and a lot of people blamed their kids' behavior problems and everything on this website. Because nowadays, like, it's just easier for people to blame shit, right? Like, you know, instead of dealing with your issues. But, plus the website actually became a place for, like, sexual predators and a lot of dummy accounts, as they called them. So these were, like, made up, and if you're 13, you're on there, then links would show up. So you click those links, and all those will be brought to pornographic websites or other misinformation. So there was a reason, actually, that I rambled on about this. Now, our friend Cody here, he ended up meeting one of his victims off this site here. So this was 15-year-old Lauren Leslie. Now, a little bit about the Legebokoff family here. So they were like known around the area of Fort St. James, but there was also a close-knit community nearby called Stewart Lake. So the mother's side of the family, the Goodwins, they were very well known there. They were kind of rich. They had one of 3 sawmills that they owned up in Stewart Lake there. In 2009, the family ended up selling the rights to that sawmill there. That was like a huge multi-million-dollar deal. So the mother's side of the family was pretty well off, whatever. And Cody did a lot of fun things growing up too. Like his grandfather told everyone that he was like a really good kid. He always went fishing for trout, and he did some hunting. And he also liked doing outdoor shit too. Like he liked snowboarding a lot. But to some, the kid seemed to like live kind of a double life, or like a secret life. Like he did get into like a little bit of trouble as he got older and shit, like we all do, right? Like bar fights and like minor shit like that. But there was one afternoon here where maybe this double part of him had decided to come out and play, maybe. So the tale goes here, a 15-year-old named Lauren Leslie, she had told her mom that she was going out to have a coffee with a friend, and she left her place of residence. This was at Fraser Lake. So this was the fall of 2010. And her mom thinks that that friend was Cody, because she was online a lot. She chatted on there tons. And so, like, it's easy to talk to anyone online, or, like, people can pretend to be something or someone they're not, right? There's actually, like, an estimated 500,000 predators that use social media to prey on their victims. So, like, 20% of them are children that use social media, and they're reported, like, to fall victim to online predators. So, like, sometimes they get caught up in, like, digital kidnapping scams and shit. So, like, even dating sites and stuff, like, shit like that. Like, people go out, they meet someone they don't know, and not all the time, but sometimes, they don't come back from those, right? Like, those meetups and shit, like, and a couple other things here, like, Lauren's mom, she knew that Cody, like, had met up with her daughter at a party there before, like, because they were all hanging out and shit, right? And even Lauren's dad, he made mention that she had hundreds of online friends, and she never met any of those friends in person, except for this guy, or whoever it was, right? But when she didn't return from her coffee meetup, she quickly disappeared. So a few online friends had came forward to tell her dad that they had to help her, like, to talk her out of suicide, or resist suicide or whatever. And when the name Cody had come up, nobody had really known anything about him. They figured maybe it was someone that she knew through, like, classmates at school and stuff. So fast forward here to November 27th, 2010. There were 2 RCMP officers who had met on a deserted road there. This was off of Highway 27. They wanted to talk, like, about other patrols and shit they were doing in the area. And at this time, they seen a GMC pickup truck just cruise down the old logging road there. And this logging road was notorious for, like, illegal hunting in that area. So they turned on their cherries there. That means their lights. And they pulled the driver over. So the cops pulled over the vehicle here, and it was none other than Cody. Now, in between talking to him and pulling him over, like, seeing where he was coming from, where he was, like, going, so they ended up contacting a local game warden. And they had, like, a little bit of suspicion that this was poaching, but I mean, that's really not that uncommon here in Canada, well, or anywhere else for that matter. So Cody had told the 2 cops that he was out hunting for, like, elk or deer. And usually during the winter season, like, it begins mid-September to mid-December in BC. So you can hunt animals like elk, moose, black bears, partridge, animals like that. Now the officers here decided to check his 2004 GMC pickup truck. Now, one of the officers there, his name was Aaron Keller, Kehler, and the other officer there that was searching the truck found a multi-tool wrench that was covered in blood, a monkey backpack, and a wallet that contained a children's hospital card, with the name Lauren Leslie on it. And plus Cody had a little bit of blood on his clothes and everything. Now, he said this was from a deer that he had just clubbed to death. "I'm a redneck," he said. "That's what we do for fun." And there was no deer carcass located in the bed of the truck, so this is where things weren't really matching up. Now, the game warden that had been contacted had joined up with the cops, so the game warden had keen tracking skills. So he went back and he followed the pickup's tire tracks, and then this was to freshly fallen snow or whatever. So he followed the footprints and he just kept going. And this had led to the remains of Lauren Dawn Leslie. So a short while after, Cody was charged with her murder. Now, it's noted here that Lauren was legally blind and she had 50% vision in her better eye. So maybe Cody found this out and he preyed on that weakness, after talking to her online, the two met online and everything, right? And an autopsy was performed in Kamloops, BC. So she had injuries to her right hand, facial bones, neck, and skull. And the autopsy was performed by Dr. Stephen Symes, or Symes, Symes. Hope I said that right. And she died from blunt force trauma and stab wounds. Now, there was a line of trauma across the right side of her face, and she was hit in that area at least 4 times. There were fractures to the inside of Leslie's skull as well, and this was indicated that she was beat with notable force. The one that did the autopsy, he used leather to reproduce some marks, and he conducted a few tests. Now, he had used a similar pipe wrench to the one that was found in the truck, and he didn't rule out the pipe wrench as a weapon. Now, the multi-tool, he checked that out. This was less conclusive, but he did note that the stab wounds to Leslie's throat were caused by a single-edged blade, similar to the one that was on the tool. Now, there was also a ring on her finger, and it was compressed on both sides, so the finger itself was broken. And although the doctor said that the hand also could have been stepped on while it was on the ground, or she tried to get up and he stomped on her hand, could have been caught in a car door. She also, could have had it held up as defense and to keep herself from being hit, and it could have been broken that way. Now, there were no signs here found that she had tried to commit suicide, so when her friend said that they had to talk her down from suicide, back on the online thing there, it wasn't true. She was literally beaten to fucking death. So even when police had asked what happened at the time of his arrest, after finding her body and everything, now Cody had mentioned that she simply went crazy and tried to kill herself that night. But the police didn't believe that for 1 minute. Now, after the arrest and everything, the cops would find a lot more things about Cody. And eventually, this would actually lead to more victims, because they went to go check his apartment and everything. Now, during the investigation, police had looked into his online activity, the social networking, the online dating sites, all that. They checked his phone out for text messaging, and that was, he had an Android phone, so don't know if that matters or not, but they spent weeks examining the truck that he was driving, and they searched the places that he lived in for evidence. When police got to searching this kid's apartment here, they found evidence that led to some other women that were missing in the area. So the DNA evidence they found had linked to a few girls. Their names were Jill Stacy Stuchenko, Natasha Lynn Montgomery, and Cynthia Frances Mass. Now, Jill was a 35-year-old mother of 6. She was last seen October 9th, 2009. Now, this girl here wanted to be a singer back in the day or whatever. Now, she was a single mom, and she worked for Ricky Black at her Prince George escort agency. So, the escort agency was called Black Orchid. Now, she worked extra hours here, and she did work for other various agencies. So, she was a freelancer, I guess, whatever you can call it that. And in between all this, she had been battling drug addiction. Now, after 4 weeks after she went missing, her friends and family were posting up a bunch of missing posters. So, and this was in hopes that they could try and locate her or whatever, right? And she was reported missing October 22nd, 2009. So 5 days after being reported missing, this would have been October 27th, her body was found. And she was found up in like kind of like a place that was known for bush parties, and it was like a lot of hikers who go up there, so there was like a few trails and whatever too, shit like that. And it was actually a hiker that found her remains. And her murder was looked into, but because of her lifestyle, it wasn't looked into very hard. Like, it was treated as suspicious, but autopsy results had shown that she died from blunt force trauma to the head. And they found her in a gravel pit area. This was up near Otway Road, around the edge of Prince George. And, like, even though she had, like, drug addiction and struggles and shit, she was loved by many. Like, shit just happens in life. I mean, everybody goes down a different path. And there was also another woman's DNA that was found in there. That was Natasha Montgomery. So she was 23 years old. And she was from Quesnel, BC. And this is a city with a population of like a little over 23,000. And it's located between the cities of Prince George and Williams Lake. Natasha was last seen at a friend's house there. So this was around the end of summer, either August 31st or September 1st of 2010. And her body was never found, ladies and gentlemen. So that sucks. He never gave that up. But what was found was DNA evidence. This was linked to all the missing women to Cody's apartment, so they were all in there with him. So he couldn't really say fuck all. How's he going to fight that? They found DNA evidence of the 3 missing women in his apartment. So they found a piece of carpet and had blood staining on it. This was sent away, and it came back as being matched to Natasha Montgomery. They found DNA evidence from Jill. Now, her blood was found on a couch, and that was seized by law enforcement and tested. And they also found, like, a picaroon. Now, this is like an axe-like tool for, like, logging or whatever. So all this was looked into. It was delivered to forensic labs, and this was across Canada. And they wanted to go find the DNA evidence that matched the victims. And lastly, his last victim, or Cynthia Maas, M-A-A-S, or Mass. Now, her story is kind of similar to Jill's. Like, she was a single mom. She was 35 years old. She was reported missing on September 3rd, 2010. Her body turned up on the banks of Fraser River, British Columbia. Now, this would have been the LC Gun Park on October 9th, 2010. So this, folks, is a walking park. It has 3.5 kilometers of trails. I mean, you can walk them yourself, take your dog or whatever, right? But the area was frequently known to police as like a place with sex workers or ladies of the night or whatever you want to call them. And yeah, like all the missing person reports, like the police had all this info, and they were only like a year apart. So when police started finding like the DNA evidence at Cody's place, they put it all together, right? So everything was tested, and now this fucking guy could be charged with all his crimes. And it was just weird, like, well, not weird, I don't know, he beat these women, like, to death. Like, Cynthia, like, she died from blunt force trauma. She had blunt force trauma to the head, she had penetration wounds, she had a hole in her shoulder blade, a broken cheekbone, her jaw was broken, and she had injuries to her neck, and this could have indicated that it was caused by somebody stomping on it, like taking their foot and just slamming it down on their neck. Now, evidence showed that there was like more than one tool that was used, and this had caused the injuries to her body. Now, DNA evidence there that was found on a sweater. They found a sock in his truck too, and the picaroon tool that I mentioned there, that was also taken away, and she had shoes in his apartment. So the guy didn't really get rid of anything, it seems. Like, he just kind of left shit kicking around. But, yeah, like, at least they tracked him back. Like, they got all this evidence and everything. Like, just imagine if those 2 cops weren't parked there on the road and they didn't even see him go by. Maybe all this would have been, like, unsolved. All in all the evidence that they found in his apartment and in his truck, it was overwhelming. Like, he was now linked to the deaths of 4 women, like Lauren, Cynthia, Natasha, Jill. And yeah, it was just way too much, so they ended up taking this to trial. So trial for Cody. This was originally scheduled to be in September of 2013, but it ended up being delayed for a month, and then it went for a while. It went underway in October, and then it would go until June. Now, he was charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, and he pled not guilty to all 4 counts. Now, during his trial, Cody had said that he was involved in 3 of the deaths, but he didn't commit the killings. He said that there were like a drug dealer and 2 other accomplices. He said that they had did the killings, so he named them as X, Y, and Z, and he swore that these were the actual murderers. But prosecutors didn't believe this crock of shit anyway, because he was just trying to plead guilty to lesser charges like second-degree murder. So September 11th, 2014, he was convicted on all 4 counts of first-degree murder. September 16th, he was sentenced to life in prison with no parole for 25 years. And then he was added to the sex offender registry. So this was like for the like total sexual nature of the crimes and everything. Now, it was said at the trial that he lacked any shred of empathy or remorse, and he should never be allowed to walk amongst us again. Originally, he was doing his jail term imprisoned at Kent Institution, but he was transferred to Warkworth Institution in March of 2019. And this whole trial and everything here, this was done by Court Justice Glenn Parrott, Parrett. And this was all done by a 14-person jury. So you can just imagine, like, what would have happened if this guy wasn't zooming down that logging road that day and those cops didn't see him. And it's a really good thing that he got pulled over and he was stopped. Like, he had blood on him. He couldn't keep his fucking story straight. So, yeah. I mean, it sucks that people died in this, but they ended up probably preventing a lot of deaths this way, too, by checking everything out and doing proper police work. After everything shook down, Natasha's mom, Luann Montgomery, she appeared on the news to ask for information that may lead to her daughter's body, and she said, quote, "My plea is to call action to Cody's mother. I do not blame you for the actions of your son, but please understand he's the only thing standing between me and my daughter and revealing the location. As a mother, I implore you to end this suffering." And searches were conducted for her body. Mainly involved like her friends and family. Sometimes there could have been like around 50 people there. So they searched along the area of Highway 16. And this would have been about 60 kilometers east of Prince George, near the Bow Run River. So Legebokoff was 19 years old when he committed his first murder. So he killed for a period of 14 months from October 2009 to November 2010. And Cody, still to this day, hasn't released her whereabouts, and the family hasn't gotten any closure. Who knows? Maybe someday they'll get the closure that they deserve, and Cody will stop being a fucking piece of shit, and he'll tell the family what he knows. And I guess that's all I got for you guys, folks. So, yeah, I have a couple clips here, like, about Cody and whatnot here that I found, so I'll add those on here too. I mean, just so you guys have a little bit of an idea, like, about a little bit more stuff and shit, right? So thanks for tuning back in, folks. You guys rock. And I'll have another episode here soon, and I'll have that Tom Barrett episode done up here March 10th. This will be on the Trusting Evil podcast, so they're on Spotify. Go check them out. I'll put a link to their podcast in the end of this, too. So, stay safe, folks. Oh, I guess if anybody has any info on Natasha Montgomery, there's actually a dedicated hotline, too, since her body hasn't been, like, recovered. And I guess if anybody knows anything, they can call this number. That number is 1-877-987-8477, or you can call your local Crime Stoppers or whatever. Well, thanks for tuning back into Twisted Tales, folks. Have a good night.
The jury continues to hear testimony from officers on the scene of Cody Legebokoff's arrest for murder. 2 RCMP members detailed the events surrounding that arrest and Legebokoff's first charge of murder.
Testimony from the officer who originally pulled Cody Legebokoff over on Highway 27 on November 27th, 2010, Constable Aaron Keller, has wrapped up. The jury heard that after Legebokoff was charged with murder, he told the officer, "I found the girl. She was dead. She committed suicide." That was moments after the body of Lauren Leslie was found in a wooded area off the highway. Legebokoff is on trial for the first-degree murders of Lauren Leslie, Natasha Montgomery, Jill Stuchenko, and Cynthia Ma. Family members attend the trial regularly, and with them, victim services.
We do have a team. We have a team. There's 10 of us that are working together to provide support for the families, and we alternate and sign up based on when we're available. And for myself, I'm going to be in court at least one day a week, hopefully, for the duration. And then the families will get to see the same faces all the time, and they know who's there to support them.
Crystal Lavar says the role of the 10-member team goes beyond much more than mere moral support.
It is truly all kinds of stuff, just making sure that the paperwork that needs to get filled in is filled in, and making sure that if there's any resources that they're available to them, making sure that if they need help, counseling's available, those sorts of things.
Team members in some capacity are expected to be at the trial for the duration, which is expected to take 6 to 8 months.
I think it is very important to have consistency, just because, they're going through enough listening to all of the testimony that they need an opportunity to have just something normal and regular and the same people all the time, because it's some tough stuff they're listening to.
With the testimony of Constable Keller wrapped up, the jury is hearing from Constable Kanwalpreet Sidhu. He arrested Legebokoff for murder. The jury heard a recording of Sidhu reading Legebokoff his rights, hearing the accused say, "I didn't murder anyone," that he saw the body, but he didn't do it.
A 24-year-old man on trial in northern BC for the murder of 3 women and a teenager has admitted to being involved in 3 of the killings. Cody Legebokoff has also told the court in Prince George that he did not act alone, but the accused killer refused to say who else was involved, saying he didn't want to go to jail with the reputation of being a rat. Testifying in his own defense, he referred to the others only as X, Y, and Z.
My name is Inspector Brendan Fitzpatrick. I'm the Operations Officer for the E Division Major Crimes Section. The RCMP is here today to announce that a series of homicide charges have been laid in connection with one investigation dating back to 2009 and 2 investigations from 2010. These charges are the result of a 10-month coordinated investigation called Project E Prelude, a joint investigation led by investigators from the North District Major Crime Unit and the Prince George RCMP Detachment Serious Crime Unit. It also involved extensive resources from around the province, including investigators and support staff from the E Division Serious Crime Unit, Behavioral Sciences Group, the E Division Interview Team, criminal analysts, and a number of RCMP forensic laboratories throughout the country. Investigators also took the unusual step of utilizing a forensic specialist from the United States to examine specific aspects of the available evidence. We can announce today that 3 counts of first-degree murder have been laid against 21-year-old Cody Allen Legebokoff from Prince George in connection with the deaths of 35-year-old Jill Stacy Stuchenko, 35-year-old Cynthia Frances Mays, and 23-year-old Natasha Lynn Montgomery. Legebokoff was arrested this past Friday at Prince George Regional Correctional Center, where he is currently awaiting trial for the November 2010 homicide of 15-year-old Lauren Dawn Leslie from Fraser Lake, British Columbia.
West Tales.